Today's reading from the Heart of Awareness, Ashtavakya Gita. Love your true self, which is naturally happy and peaceful and bright. Awaken to your own nature, and all delusion melts like a dream. The sorrows of duty, like the heat of the sun, have scorched your heart. But let stillness fall on you, with its sweet and cooling showers, and you will find happiness. For the world is nothing, it's only an idea, but the essence of what is and of what is not can never fail. The self is always the same, already fulfilled, without flaw or choice or striving, close at hand, but boundless. When the self is known, all illusions vanish, the veil falls, and you see clearly. Your sorrows are dispelled, for the self is free and lives forever. Everything else is imagination, nothing more. Understanding this, the awakened one acts like a child. When you know your awareness, and that what is and what is not are both imaginary, and you are at last free of desire, then what is there left to know, or to say, or to do? For the self is everything. Knowing this, the seeker falls silent. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, welcome to Satsang. The last verse of this reading if I can find it again. Points to one of the great paradoxes of our spiritual journey. It says, for the self is everything. Knowing this, the seeker falls silent. There's this impression when we first start to awaken that the one who is awakening is similar or maybe even the same as the one who's been asleep. And so there's this subtle form of identification that begins to happen. Before we were the one who was lost, now we are the one who is seeking. And one of the great paradoxes when we come to the end of this journey is that we realize that the seeker was also an illusion. Just as the one who was bound was an illusion, the one who is free, the seeker who is seeking freedom, has also been an illusion. And this paradox continues for many people right up to the time of recognition that you are aware, you are the self, you are the awakened one. Even asking the question, what is aware here? Or am I aware? Or who am I? Leaves us with this very subtle taste that the one who is going to awaken is the one who I consider to be me, or I. Some form of the body, the mind, the emotions, that this is the one who awakens. But what Ashtavakya is pointing toward here is that when this happens, when the awakening comes, when the final step is taken, it's taken by no one. And he points to this by saying, the seeker becomes silent. The meaning of this is that there was no seeker to begin with. What's seen through is not just a quiet state of mind or contentment that arises, but that the one who was seeking all along is found never to have been. And only the awareness, which was here all along, is real. So now the me is gone. And yet somehow the knowing continues. So I'm encouraging you today to recognize that part of you which is seeking, and to realize that this impulse for seeking, this impulse for awakening, is not yours. Why would I do that? It's to directly point you to the awareness itself, which you are, which you know right in this moment, and you can understand through the thought, I am aware. And noticing in this moment that you are aware, here, now. But if you fully drop the seeker and drop the seeking, you will come to realize that you as the seeker didn't exist. That this impulse to seek, this impulse to know who you are, was coming from this deep recognition of yourself as awareness, that this was already there. But the I continues to play this game of seeking for a very, very long time for most of us. So I just encourage you, time after time, week after week, to keep coming to this awareness here and now. And keep dropping this notion that it is you who is seeking. Awareness is simply becoming aware of its own nature. And when this happens, you will be free in a way that you've never known before. Of course, it can also be said that you are already free, that you have always been free, you have never been bound. This is the direct path. But as long as this sense of the seeker keeps rising, we just keep dropping it. This belief that I am the seeker, I am lacking something, I will gain something, I have been bound all of this time, now I am free. All of this will come to an end. And there is just this recognition that you are here, now, as awareness, already free, unbound, eternal, undying consciousness. You are that. Now your heart is open and you are free to play in the world in any way that feels appropriate to you. In Advaita, when we talk about being free, what's being pointed at or what is meant is that you are free of this idea that there is a me or there is a you which has to protect against something, which has to be fearful of something, which will gain something, which will become something else when you awaken. But all of the sages say that the experience is one of becoming yourself, finally, at last. Of realizing that you never were your personality, your body, your mind. That what you are transcends all the states of mind, all the ways of being in the world. And brings you here as yourself, being, consciousness, and bliss in this moment. You are that. And we come to this deep recognition of who we are in truth through some form of the inquiry. Who am I? As Ramana Maharshi said. What is aware? Through recognizing in the ordinary moments of our day, throughout all of our relationships, I am aware. I am here. That life is rolling on like a great river, and I'm sitting on the bank, watching, aware of all the sticks and the boulders and the currents and the beautiful creatures that come to drink from the water. I resist nothing. Grasp at nothing, cling to nothing. Just aware. as life itself unfolds. Sometimes pleasantly, sometimes unpleasantly. But none of this matters anymore. There is just this consciousness, this awareness. Which looks upon everything as itself. So now what do I need to push away? What do I need to be afraid of? What do I need to cling to? Everything is simply life itself, in its true form and in its formlessness. You are that. And just keep letting go of everything that rises as experience. Just notice what's aware of anything that's present in the body or mind, as sensation, as thought, as emotion. What's aware of this? Take an interest in this. This way is not about the avoidance of anything, it's about the use of everything. Sound, sight, taste, touch. Using everything to begin to see clearly what is aware. So now, whatever is the dominant experience you're having in this moment, turn your attention away from that thought, away from that sensation, and ask yourself, what is aware here? At this moment, there won't be an answer. The mind may try to speculate about what's aware, but there won't be an answer. If you keep asking this question, what is aware of this, of that, whatever's present, slowly the mind begins to just slow down. And at one point, when you ask the question, what is aware, or who am I, the mind will just keep quiet. Now ask this question again. Now understand that this question, what is aware, having directed you directly to the awareness itself, notice if your mind begins to grab onto the idea that this awareness is mine. And let this notion that this awareness is you or yours go. Gently, just let it go. Can you see that awareness is still here? Without me? That this awareness is not your awareness? It's awareness itself. That which is aware. Once you've come to this place where you notice that awareness is here, and you don't need to call it mine, you don't need to identify with it, then it becomes much easier for you not to identify, not to react, not to cling to whatever comes in the mind, the body, or the world, whatever comes in experience. You don't need to grab at anything, you don't need to push anything away. Now you are being itself. Now you're sitting before identification with the body and the mind and the world. And this is the definition of freedom. Now you have the possibility of leaving the world alone, leaving your thoughts alone, leaving the body alone, not struggling with any of it. And your level of reactivity comes way, way down. Do you see? So now is the time that if you have a question or a comment, please speak up.
Rishi, the last time I talked to you, you had a whole apparently endless list of nice little phrases, like who am I, but different, variety. Do you think you could come up with those again? Some of them really struck me. They really kind of, just in the moment I heard them, they really worked for me.
Yeah.
You were just going and going. Didn't have anything.
Right, because we were directly involved
in that mode,
in the conversation at that moment. Yeah, which is the reason why I always encourage everyone to speak about what's going on now in the moment, because it is the nowness of that moment which brings
You were responding to that.
forth the
Yeah.
response. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the honest truth about that for me is that I don't listen to myself.
Right, I understand, yeah.
I don't know how any other way to put it.
Well, you were responding spontaneously
Right.
to what was
Yeah.
coming up. I get that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And I can remember that moment with you.
Yeah.
Yes, the moment is alive here for me right now.
Me too.
But the words are not.
Yeah, me
So
too.
this is always the challenge when someone says, "What did you say about
Yeah.
that?"
Yeah.
I don't know.
Would it be on the video?
No, we were actually doing some handyman work
Oh.
together.
Oh.
We were installing an air conditioner.
Oh.
While Darian was installing an air conditioner, I was mostly just holding things, but yeah. I will say this about those kinds of moments, though. I mean, it's been the experience I've had with this is that typically it's the mind that's trying to make that list, that's trying to grab those thoughts. And the reason that there was an impact in that moment is because what hears them and feels that impact is actually the heart. It's not the mind.
Mhm.
The mind attempts to grab them afterwards, so wants to come back and say, "Give me that list again."
Mhm.
But you can be assured that as circumstances rise and those pointers that we can't really remember right now, we can't really recall, we can't really engage the mind, especially after we've been sitting in silence for an hour, they blossom in the heart when the circumstances are right again. So hearing them the first time, hearing anything here for you the first time where you feel like there's been an impact, "Oh, I need to remember that," or "I hope I can remember that." This is the mind talking, so this, this, and it's fine. The mind does have that capacity. It gathers facts and saves things and stores things in memory. But it's the heart which hears. And so when there's an appropriate experience present for you, where you can really use that concept or those words, it will just... Except the second time it comes with the direct experience attached to it. When we're standing somewhere like we were, and we're having a spontaneous conversation, things are unfolding spontaneously, they're going in, the mind is forgetting them. But when something in our experience calls up that very moment, or calls up that pointer, it's directly related to the experience we're having at that moment. That's when it becomes our own. Now it's not a mental concept, right? Now whatever the pointer was is shown to us through our own experience. Okay? So at least have some faith that even though I can't remember what the list is, the heart remembers what the list is. And when the moment is ripe, that particular seed that's been planted, it will flower. And do so in a way that's directly related to the experience that's present in that moment, so that you can see that the perception that was before that moment was not the true perception, and that the pointer has shown you through your own experience, right, that there was truth. And that's why you felt that, right? This is the self resonating with the self, truth resonating with truth, right? This is not mind resonating with mind. It just appears that way because it comes through the mind. It comes through the words.
Yeah.
But the direct perception of truth in that moment is actually in the heart. So it will come.
Yeah.
And if you can remember anything about what we were talking about, it might come again now. It's just hard to say. And always, in any given moment, whatever the pointer happens to be, it comes to you directly. But always, there's really only one pointer. Those of you that have been here for a while know that I really only give one pointer. And that pointer is be here. Remain here as this awareness. Know that you are aware of your own awareness here, now. And so I often say to people, stay here with me now. Don't go away into those concepts. Because the concepts, no matter how lofty they are rooted in the mind and in the language. But the direct perception of truth, of yourself as being, consciousness and bliss, that is here now. It's not somewhere else. It's not in another time. It's not in another place. It's here now. So we keep coming back to this recognition that I am aware that I am aware. And just resting there. And of course the words and the concepts are interesting and fun. The mind likes them. Mind candy. I call that mind candy. And that's not to denigrate it. It's just to try to point to the limitation of what the mind can understand. Being, consciousness, understands it all. With or without words. The words are here to only help the mind become familiar with what the heart already knows. And this is the meaning of knowing that truth is truth. We have this direct experience when we're in a conversation with someone, or we're reading a book, or we're watching a video, or we're here in Satsang, and we hear something, and we feel ourselves sort of sit up in that moment and be presence, aware that we're fully here. And then the mind wants to have some concept that it can hang itself on to understand what just happened. So this is not a problem. This is just a characteristic of our mind. Mind likes to know. It likes to have the explanation. It wants to understand in some way. But this all happens after the heart has already felt, has already experienced the truth of its own nature through the pointing and the looking that you do when I say, are you aware? Are you aware that you are aware? Are you here now? Be here with me now. Then you can have the direct perception of what it means to be awake as being, consciousness, bliss, here now.
Rishi, I've been noticing the dreaminess of everything. I noticed a lot in this meditation, like just the mind, it's just such a dream. Everything just kind of melts away into something else, and that melts away into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to notice that also sometimes during the day, I'm just, whatever it is that I'm doing, and my mind is doing whatever it's doing. And then I just become aware, like, how dreamy everything is, and really nothing is real. And so I feel like it's coming at the truth from different angles, you know, from the awareness, but also the awareness of the dreaminess of everything. So sometimes it seems to me just noticing the dreaminess of things eats away at stuff, rather than saying, I am awareness, because that sometimes feels like a concept
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
But just seeing,
Yeah, just keep going in that though. Yeah, because ultimately you don't need those words.
yeah, it's more like seeing the dreaminess of things rather than seeing I am awareness. Or, you know, that's good also to notice, but for me it's kind of like taking things away seems to work, rather than trying to add something. I am awareness.
Yes,
I am this.
absolutely.
It's more like
Yes, we've talked about this a
taking the
lot in the
dream
past.
away,
Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons this is coming clear to you.
yeah.
Because we've talked quite a bit in the
Yeah.
past about
Yes.
the letting go and the allowing things just to be as they are. When you talk about the dreaminess of things, for me that's kind of the way I'm always pointing toward the impermanence
Okay.
of things,
Yeah.
right? The way that things come and they last for a period of time, and if we don't really grab them, then we have this experience of things being pretty ephemeral.
Yeah.
Right? And eventually they go of their own accord. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to push things away. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. Right. So when we talk about things being illusory, which is often the case in Vedanta, in Advaita, we talk about things being unreal, we're really talking about this experience where we can begin to see in some way the dreamlike quality of all of our experience, right? So this will go on for a period of time. It can go on for quite a long period of time, but it doesn't need to go on for a long period of time. And the way to come even beyond the experience of something is dreamy is to remember, not through the words, but directly, that you are that which is aware of the dreaminess, right? Right? Because in the beginning, the mind is wanting to hold on to things, keep them permanently, make them solid, right? This is what mind does. And then it traps us into this identification with our experience by saying, this experience is real, this is solid. So when you begin to have the experience that you're having now, if you continue with the recognition, with words or without words, that I am the one that is witnessing this, right? Then even this dreaminess can not be attached to. Because the mind has this capacity, some of you have already noticed this, the mind has the capacity to attach itself to very subtle objects. So the objects don't have to be solid and hard like this when you stub your toe on the piece of furniture. It feels really solid. It's hard. Solid. So you don't have to have that kind of experience, but the mind will still begin to attach, identify in some way, even with these very subtle perceptions, right? And it is to be free of all perception that something is other than what it is, which we're moving toward in some way as we begin to have these kind of experiences. Not everyone has these kind of experiences, but yes, very good.
doesn't happen very often, but just a little bit this week. It was coming up in this meditation today. It was
Mhm.
coming up a
Yeah.
lot. So
Yeah.
everything's just dissolving, melting away.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And when everything dissolves, is awareness still here? Yeah. Yeah. Very good, Rosemary. I keep looking at you today like I'm expecting something to come out of your mouth, but nothing does.
I can't even formulate a good question, it seems.
Hope that's not problematic for you.
It's problematic when I think about it. My life is really good, except when I think about spirituality and where I am with it. It's not. It doesn't seem to be very promising. And so, yes, just.
How fortunate you are.
Why's that?
So many of my conversations with people are around what their expectations are around being a spiritual person, or around what they'll gain. You know, whatever, however it's defined: enlightenment, awareness, awakeness. You know. But experience shows that it really isn't until we fully lose hope that we'll ever gain anything or understand anything, that the space, what some call grace, the space for grace, opens up.
Okay.
So my instruction, if there is one for you then, is just drop all that. Just forget it all. The whole business about spiritual seeking, spiritual knowledge.
Most of the time of the day I do, but then I'll pick up a book and it'll and then I just think I'll never get what they're telling me, or what you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
I should put the book down.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I could challenge you like my first Buddhist teacher did.
No.
I told you that
Oh,
story.
yeah.
He just was watching me, struggle with things throughout practice sessions and listening to questions I was having, and then finally in my frustration I said to him, for those of you who haven't heard this story, I said to him, please just give me a book to read. I just need something, I just need something to chew on. And he said to me, for you, no books.
That's like a prison sentence.
And that's how it felt at that time, right? To the mind, this felt like a prison sentence.
Yeah.
But understand that the motivation behind it was probably the same motivation that you're describing there, which is, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for your mind, I can speak for what this mind did. This mind was in a state of saying, I have to find a way out. This is unacceptable. This is not working for me. Whatever it is, life, these thought patterns, what's driving my experience, this is not working for me. So I need some new ideas, some new concepts, right? And this in Vedanta is called using a thorn to remove a thorn. So when the mind is very troubling, we can put in some elevated concepts, some ideas about what awakening means, or what enlightenment is, or what our experiences have been in the practice of sadhana. And this gives us some comfort in that moment and gives us something to sort of chew on and to work on and so on. But I believed in what my teacher was telling me at that time, so I just dropped books. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And I didn't pick up another spiritual book for 3 years. And it was during that time that I had some of the greatest insights of my life. And the reason is because we cannot come to this true understanding of who we are through the concepts of others. We can only come through our own experience. And this is why the mind struggles with this so much, is because the mind wants the mind is like it wants to go to the doctor and hear what the problem is, and then it wants to know that this is the medicine for the problem. But then when it gets home, it doesn't want to take the medicine. Right? So we come to understand, we come to these kinds of meetings and we understand something about the ideas, but the mind will keep telling us we don't understand enough. And so when we go home, we don't actually take the medicine. And there's only one medicine here, and that is the question, am I aware? Or what is aware? And there's no answer to that question. So this is not a satisfying pill for the mind to take. So it will go back to the books and begin to look again, but then it'll become defeated by its own recognition that this is someone else's experience, it's not my own.
There's no answer to the question, am I aware? It's not
There's-
yes, I am, or there is awareness, but it's not mine.
Yes, those kinds of answers can come. The difficulty comes when there are answers in the mind and not in the direct perception, in the direct experience. Because the direct experience is actually pretty wordless, entirely wordless. There's just a recognition, I am aware. But it's without those words, right? There's just a recognition. I don't know how else to say it, right? Because this is the point at which the words really begin to fail, which is the important point for the mind. Because when the mind begins to understand that all the words are failing, which is what you're describing, the words are not translating into experience. Now the words are failing you, right? You can go to read whatever book you want to read. You'll just become more confused. You'll feel more a failure. Excuse me. But this is a place where you can challenge the mind. You can say, fine, I don't understand. I don't get it. None of this is real. I hear what you're saying. I hear what all the saints are saying. I hear what all the sages are saying. I've read all the books. None of this is real. It's all illusory. So what is real? You can ask this question, right? It's another form of the inquiry. What is real then? If all of this is false, if all of this has failed, what is real? And become persistent. Show me. Show me what is real. Now who are we talking to? Right? We're literally bypassing the mind. We don't want an answer from the mind. So by saying what is real, by asking this question internally, and no answer coming, we move closer and closer and closer to this silence of being, into which the direct perception that I am that which is aware can fall, not as a concept, as a direct perception. Are you doing it now?
I'm gonna put the books down. Let's see
Yeah,
what-
but
see
right
what
now,
happens.
in this moment,
Doing what?
dropping everything and ask what is real. Not with the mind, with the heart. What is real?
I don't think I know how to ask questions with the heart.
Ah, well, this is a good time to start.
How?
Bring attention. If you hear the question in your mind, right, in this moment, what is aware? Okay? What is real? You can hear that in your mind?
Yes.
Okay. So notice right now that there's almost a sensation, but more of a perception, that your attention, when that question is asked in the mind, is here. Right? Can you perceive that? Now, if you ask what is real, and drop the attention to the center of the body, what happens?
I guess I feel the question in my heart, but
You guess?
I do. No, I felt it. I felt the question.
All right, and then in order for you to talk to me again, in order for you to just say that to me, notice that the attention moved here again. In other words, it didn't rest there. It
No, it
fell
hasn't.
there, right?
Right.
And then did you feel it when I asked that question, or when you made that statement, did you feel the attention move back up?
Well, I had to go back to my mind to
Correct.
speak.
Correct. Stop doing that.
Stop doing that. Just
Hold the question, what is real? Right? Locate the question, what is real? And you'll feel attention here, which is where we feel attention when we're in the mind.
yes.
Right? I'm not saying the mind is here. I'm just saying there is a direct experience when we're using a mental concept that we are somehow in this area.
Right.
Okay. Then I said, bring it here. Meaning not the question, because the question has to stay in the mind. It's a concept. But if you bring the attention here, the feeling quality of the question follows. Not the words themselves, just the feeling quality. Is that true?
I got lost.
Okay, so go back to what is real.
yeah.
Locate that in the mind.
Okay.
Now come here to the center of the body. You've lost the question. Now attention is simply here in the center of the body.
It's not easy for me. I've never done that before.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to work on it.
do it. You see, the vast majority of us, when we're engaged in anything in our lives, we are present from here up, and we're not present from here down. So this becomes, in some ways, a necessity. Mostly because of what I explained to you, that when we are continuously in conceptual thinking, we're here. We're always here. We can feel it. You can put when you're intensely thinking, you can put your hand on your forehead. It feels like your forehead is burning up. Right? This is the area of the mind when there's this intense concentration going on. This is why why we get headaches, why we get tired physically, all of these things. It's happening because of this intense concentration at the level of mind. We're using this as to indicate the level of mind. We begin to understand something about who we are when we bring attention away from the concepts, away from the words, away from the mind, and center it in the heart. Most of us, if we're asked directly by anyone, where are you? Say, "Oh, I'm right here. I'm right here." We just naturally go like this, right? I'm right here. What do you mean, where am I? I'm right here. And we will touch our heart center. So we have this recognition, just like we're not the mind, but the mind is somehow here. We also know that we are not the body, but the heart is somehow here, meaning the center of being. That's how we perceive the center of being. This is why some of you have been here before, have heard me talk about doing this practice of going to sleep at night with the intention to feel yourself aware before the body becomes awake. And the place we feel that is right here. We can feel energy pull into the body before it spreads throughout the body and spreads into the mind, and before we say, oh, I have to get up because I have to be somewhere by 8:30 or something. I have to be to work or whatever. So there is this useful ability we have to feel into what we feel to be the center of being, and to recognize that for all of us, we feel ourselves to be in the center of being when attention is placed here at the solar plexus, near the heart center. So we have to make that effort when we've had a lifetime of conditioning that we're always up here. Throughout the day we keep bringing ourselves down, right? And this is what people experience from dance, from yoga, from deep breathing exercises. All of this is to bring the attention away from this continual mental conception that says this is who I am and defines itself as the mind, into something that first says, well, I'm actually this body. But when we look deeper, we can see that there is some feeling, some recognition that there is a center of being which seems to have some sort of a locus. Loci? What's the word, locus? It's somehow located near the center of the body. But if we don't say that this has to be a physical object, like a physical heart, right? Or even a mandala, right? It doesn't even need to be that. It just needs to be the feeling sensation of I. This is I. This is where I is seated. So we just keep bringing attention to that place.
Thank you.
That was just really helpful. Well, what's been happening is concepts of mother has been unraveling, and concepts of daughter has been unraveling, and move into what is real. Makes it softer. Much softer. And then I don't have to have words, it's okay
Mhm.
not to have words.
Mhm.
And just let that, whatever it is, happen.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You see, because we're never what's happening. We're what is aware of what's happening.
Mm.
This is what the place we're always sort of returning to. You know? The mind will have whatever it has, the emotions will have whatever they have, the body will have whatever it has. But the question always remains in what is aware of what the mind has, what the body has, what the emotions have. What is aware of that?
Then it has just lots of space.
Lots of space, yeah. Because there's no definitions in that, right? In that question, what is real or what is aware? There's lots of space in it because there's no concepts in it. There's no me, there's no you, there's no other, there's no mother, there's no daughter, there's no roles, assigned roles, right? It's very hard to unravel all of what goes on in the body, mind, and world when whatever is going on is immediately by the mind attached to some concept or some role. So the point of the inquiry, or the question, what is real? Who am I? What is aware? The point of all of these is to come beyond all of these concepts and begin to look at what's behind them. What makes these concepts even knowable? What makes these assigned roles even knowable? So, yeah, very good. In a way, we can say it's to depersonalize it all, right? Because we take our roles as mother, father, parent, child, daughter, husband, wife, whatever, you know, we take those roles, those assigned roles, very seriously, and we assign personal value to them, and we say, this is who I am. We define ourselves with those roles. So what the inquiry does is it helps to break down that tendency in the mind and in the conditioning and in our experience over decades to identify with the roles that we play in life. It's one of the things it does.
Yeah, it, like emotions come, but the emotions are, when I'm hanging in what is real, then it's not really emotions, it's more different sensations are coming and going. It takes it out of emotions. Yeah.
And are you still aware when all of those emotions are gone and the sensations are changing and they're coming and going?
Yeah.
Is there still awareness present?
Not only is there awareness, but there's strength. You know, an always was, always is kind of strength. Never born, never
Beautiful.
dies
Yeah,
kind
beautiful.
of strength.
Beautiful.
Yeah, like I stopped looking for strength. The strength is there. Yeah, and it's filling. It has a fullness to it, not a hunger to it.
Very beautiful.
And I love it. It's like hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Here I am. Yep.
And the fullness has a kind of like its own vitality or energy or aliveness.
Yes, and you see, this is the reason why the sages have always described why they don't really sleep much. Because when this vitality and this aliveness and fullness is there, the body's resting all the time.
Mm.
Beautiful.
You could say not looking, but it's more like contentment.
Mm.
Just contentment for nothing, kind of. Yeah.
Yes, this is the end of seeking. Now what is there that you need? You see?
It's just,
There's just this isness, right?
yeah.
Yes.
And it doesn't worry about things.
Beautiful.
It's not really tough.
Yeah. So now you just enter this wordless state and just remain there. You can notice, however, that the mind will still try to explain it, try to describe it, right?
Yeah.
But resist that temptation for the moment, you know.
It's true, I want to write. But yeah.
You can write in a few minutes. In a few minutes you can write. Please have some prasad. So it's good to notice that whenever we've had this kind of a deep perception like this, what happens is the mind does jump right back in and it wants to describe things or it wants to write things. So this is not a bad thing. However, do understand that the more you're able to just allow yourself to remain in this awake, open presence, the deeper this knowing goes, that's not dependent on the mind. So that doesn't mean you don't write something down when it's particularly significant for you after the fact. You know, you may do this for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But don't cling to that either, because ultimately if you're always here and now, what do you ever need to remember? You see? You're always here now. So whatever was relevant then is not relevant now. The here now, which was relevant then, is the here now, which is relevant.
Kind of wants to express somehow.
Mm.
It kind of wants to express somehow. Like
Yeah. There's, yeah.
if
no
I was a
problem.
dancer, I would do a dance.
Right, if you, yeah, or you would paint a painting if you were an artist, yeah,
Yeah, or
absolutely,
plant
yeah,
a-
this is
a-
true,
a
yeah, this is
seed
what
or
happens,
something.
yeah.
If I was a gardener.
Yeah, this is why people write books and paint beautiful paintings and build
Make
beautiful
beautiful
things
gardens.
and, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But now, you see, this is a reflection of an inner state.
Mm.
If you can remain in this silence as your natural state, which it is, it's your natural state. If you can remain in it and resist the urge to always be pushing it out into the world in some way,
Uh-huh.
then what you can also see is that the natural state which you are, even you do nothing, it just sort of transforms things over time.
Mm-hmm.
It transforms your life, it transforms your experience, and so on. Even you do it without any will at all. I like to use my garden as an example, because when I moved here 5 years ago, Darian knows, this out front was like, this was a garage. So this was transformed by Sally and JB, and with some help from Darian, and the front was just a gravel drive. That's all it was just a gravel drive.
Wow.
There was nothing out. You stepped out the door, you stepped out into the gravel drive. But through doing nothing, but still, the impulse through, one moment to another, put this down here, put that brick there, put that plant in the ground there, put that plant. Now there's this beautiful garden around the house.
Mm.
But there's not any sense of having done it. Does that make sense?
Mm. Mm.
Right?
Mm.
Because the impetus of life is to be here now, right?
Mm.
It's not to build a garden.
Mm.
But in the here nowness of experience, somehow this garden manifested. And for me, that's a significant thing, because everywhere I go throughout my life, I'm building gardens and walking away from them. So I know this is not a plan I have. It's just the nature of this body-mind in this incarnation, is to plant things and stack rocks and put in walkways, and it just happens on its own somehow, as a reflection of something which is here.
Mm.
So it can be this way with art, with a garden, with painting, with writing, with music. It can be this way for people. This is how beautiful things come about in the world.
Mm. I guess I can tell if it takes more energy to stop it than it does to let it happen.
Yeah, good indicator. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Mm.
So now the healing mantra. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urva Urugamiva Bandinam Mrityor Mukshiyamamritawa Svaha Uva Bu Om Sat Jung Hang Om. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.